More now on President Trump's executive order barring citizens from 7 mostly Muslim nations from legally entering the U.S. No, those 7 nations include Syria, Iraq, and Iran. But terrorists who have carried out attacks in our country have overwhelmingly come from other places. What's considered the first radical Islamic terrorist attack on our soil, the assassination of Jewish extremist Rabbi Meir Kahane in 1990 in Manhattan. Well, that was carried out by El Sayed Nosair. He was from Egypt, a nation not on the list. He was part of the New Jersey terrorist cell headed up by blind Sheikh Abdurrahman that went on to bomb the World Trade Center in 1993. Rahman, also from Egypt. And, of course, the 9/11 hijackers from Saudi Arabia, a country not on the list. The attempted car bomb in Times Square in 2010 was the work of Fasil Shahzad. He was a U.S. citizen from Pakistan, also a nation not on the list. The New York subway bombing plot, Najibil Azazi. He was a U.S. citizen. He was from Afghanistan, a nation not on the list. The Boston Marathon bombings, the Sonar brothers, of course, Dzhokhar and Tamerlan, well, they were U.S. citizens from Chechnya and Kyrgyzstan, 2 nations, Russia, not on the list. San Bernardino shooter, Syed Farouk, well, he on the left was born here. His wife, there on the right, Tashia Malik, she was from Pakistan, a country not on the list. The Pulse nightclub killer in Orlando, Omar Mateen, born on Long Island, New York. The suspected Manhattan bomber last fall, who's accused of that, Ahmad Rahmani. He's a U.S. citizen born in Afghanistan, a nation also not on the list. And Tahir Edan, who went on a stabbing spree in St. Cloud, Minnesota at a mall last September. Well, he was of Somali descent, but born in Kenya, not on the list. Ambassador John Bolton joins us now, former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Senior Fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, and a Fox News contributor. Ambassador, do you think this order is a proper method to address the terrorist threat or a haphazard creation that just sown confusion and chaos?
Well, I think it's a step, just to start with the list of 7 countries. This list essentially comes from the Obama administration, which over time had put together a program to reduce the granting of visa waivers to people from those countries applying to come in. So this list of 7 countries is not haphazard. As I say, it comes from the Obama administration. The measure in the executive order obviously takes it a step further by putting a temporary moratorium on granting visas from these 7 countries. And I think the idea that it doesn't address the risks of terrorists coming in from other countries obviously is something that requires attention, because we don't want to be attacked no matter where the people come from. But to say, therefore, this executive order it should be rescinded is to say, well, if you don't do everything all at once, you can't even address even a part of the problem. And I think that's clearly wrong.
Well, you know, Afghanistan, of course, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia are not included on the list. And the Washington Post is saying that is because the president has business ties to those nations. Why do you think those nations are left off?
I assume that's completely silly. There should be stricter vetting of applicants from a lot of different places. The 7 countries in this executive order are simply, for a brief period of time, going to have a moratorium on granting any applications because of the nature of the chaos or similar circumstances in those countries, like Yemen, for example, which has no effective government, like Libya, like Syria. In the other places, there are governments. Now, that's not to say there shouldn't be very careful vetting of people coming from those countries as well.
What about the critics of this who say, you know, look, these refugees go through 18 months, 2-3 years worth of extreme vetting already. We basically know who they are. There's not a big number, and I see you shaking your head. Would you address that concern that they basically know who these people are?
Sure. If they're saying that the visa application process takes a long time, I have no doubt that that's correct. Government is not the world's most efficient creation when it comes to this sort of thing. But that doesn't mean for 18 months FBI agents, DEA agents, Secret Service agents, local police all over the world are studiously investigating each of these applications. It means that for long periods of time, their applications are sitting on somebody's desk. So I don't regard that as as evidence of serious vetting. In fact, in this past year, the heads of intelligence and law enforcement agencies have testified several times before Congress that from a number of these countries in particular, we simply don't have adequate vetting. And I think part of this is, on the part of the protesters, is trying to make a political issue out of something that it's not. The fact is, just as you look at people coming in from illegal drug exporting countries differently than you do from someplace like Iceland, when you have countries that are the source of terrorism, you should look carefully at people who want to come into the United States from there. That's not a religious test, it's a terrorism test.
And finally, quickly, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think it's going to go on. Look, the court orders, as I read them, are really very limited in scope. I think arguments that could have been made in defense of the executive order don't seem to have been made. There's a lot still to come here, and I have no doubt this executive order will be modified, expanded in some respects, perhaps reduced in some others.
All right, Ambassador. Thank you for your insight and analysis, as always. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Of course.